I know the title was Money, Banking, and the Current Mess, but I don't think I'll get beyond money today, and certainly won't get to the current mess. But when we talk about money, the first thing we need to talk about is how money originated. And money did not originate by order of the state. Eventually you're going to go to college and you're going to learn that that's what happened, but that is not the case. Money originated in the free market, and it originates in barter. Goods are produced by those that are good at it, and those who are good at producing a particular good, they will have surplus of these goods. When they have surplus of these goods, they will trade those goods for other goods that they don't produce. They'll trade with someone who is good at producing those goods. So I always like to use the log man and the egg lady when I'm talking about this. And if you were the log man and you had a grove of trees, and you would have extra firewood, and down the road there would be a lady with extra. She has chickens, and the chickens are laying eggs, and certainly more eggs than she can eat. So there's the immediate potential for these two folks to trade. The egg lady's going to need to get rid of some eggs, and she's going to need some firewood to keep her warm. The log man is going to have extra logs, and he's going to need something to eat, so he's going to want to trade logs for eggs. And eventually there would be some sort of exchange would happen. You might have an egg equal to a medium-sized log. So the egg lady would trade one egg for medium-sized log. But, you know, those terms of exchange could change depending on supply factors of logs or supply factors of chickens. Let's say some of the chickens died, and if some of the chickens died, the egg lady would have fewer eggs to trade with, and so she would need to use a certain number of those eggs to eat. So she'd be less likely to trade eggs, and she would demand maybe 2 logs for each one of the eggs that she wanted to trade for. Conversely, if there was a fire and the forest, part of the trees of the logman's trees burned down, he'd probably want maybe 2 logs for every egg. So you can see how these exchange rates would change, even in barter. Now, the main problem with barter immediately comes up, and that is what's called the double coincidence of wants. If you're bartering with somebody, you need to, number one, find someone who wants what you have, right? And they have to want what you have. And that's the double coincidence of wants. So if you're the log man, and you have to find somebody who has eggs, if that's what you want. And also, the egg lady has to want logs. And that's pretty tough to do. You can see that an economy that's driven by barter or uses a barter system, it limits trade tremendously. Second problem with barter is indivisibility. I mean, you can cut logs in little pieces and trade with those logs. But eggs don't divide very well. Try to cut an egg in half, and it doesn't work necessarily very well. So indivisibility is a problem. The other problem is business calculation. Now, if you've got a grove of trees and you sell logs, but you trade logs for any number of things, how can you determine whether you're having a profit or whether you're having a loss? It's impossible if you're trading for eggs or shoes or any number of different things that you may be trading for. So these are the problems with barter, and thus the need for a medium of exchange. And that's what develops when you have a good that trades, not just for its usefulness, an egg for what you would eat, but maybe an egg that you may want to trade for. And that's what becomes money, is this medium of exchange. And actually, this is explained very well by Mr. Jeffrey Tucker, who you will hear from later. In a piece recently he wrote for, I guess he wrote it a long time ago, but we continue to reprint it over and over and over again. Halloween and its candy economy. So I don't know if you guys still trick or treat. A couple of you look like you could still be in costume, I guess, but just kidding. But if you do still trick or treat, you know how it works. You go from door to door. You have a big bag, and you're kind of at the whim of the mean folks at each stop in terms of what they're going to give you. And at the end of the night, you end up with a big bag of various candy and other things that these people give you. I know in my day we hated to get like apples and anything healthy like that. I mean, that's just Halloween is not for health. It's for chocolate and gooey stuff and things like that. But occasionally you get the mean old lady down the street who insists on giving you an apple. And of course then you start hearing about razor blades and apples and crazy stuff like that. But anyway, in Jeff's piece, he talks about how a medium of exchange appears in candy on Halloween night. He has a big family, and he lives in a very prosperous neighborhood here in Auburn. And so the kids all came over to his house, and they dump out their bags of candy, and there's trading, right? You get, you've got so many Reese's, and you got so many Snickers, and you got some popcorn balls, and you got some blow pops, and you got all this stuff. And people started trading because you don't like all this stuff. And there's these various transactions going on. But eventually what happens is that one of the candies becomes the medium of exchange. It's the candy that kids would trade for because they knew not that they wanted to eat it or to consume it, but they knew that they could trade it for something else. And in this case, it turned out to be the micro-sized Three Musketeers bar. And that's because everybody knew what it was. It was small and bite-sized, and it worked very well for this exchange. And so you can see how this would happen over time. Kids would think beyond just consuming their candy. They started trading for these bite-sized Three Musketeers, and they even started hoarding them and saving them, thinking that they would make a better deal as the night went on. And ultimately, the Three Musketeers served to facilitate other exchanges. So it's a very good piece to read, and something that you can see very quickly in how a money develops, or a medium of exchange develops, even in Halloween candy. And at the end of the night, everybody was happier. That's the key to the story. Some kids had less, some kids had more, but through this medium of exchange, they were able to make trades that made them better off, and everybody was happier than they were when they just showed up with this big bag of candy that some of it they liked and some of it they didn't like, etc. Now, you can see that money it's a huge leap forward in the history of civilization. If we were all bartering, we couldn't trade for, you wouldn't be able to trade your time and talent for money and then go buy what you want. You'd be trapped by this double coincidence of wants. So money has served to really civilize the world. And businesses are now able to calculate whether they're making money or whether they're losing money. All goods can be priced in money or the commodity that is in money. Now, a number of things have been money over the years. Salt, sugar, cattle, iron hose, tea, cowrie shells, and even, in a very famous case, cigarettes in prison camps have developed as money. And in fact, I think cigarettes are probably still used as money in prisons. So what kind of goods are picked as money? Well, it's a commodity that, number one, is generally marketable, which means it has to have a high non-monetary demand. Now, just in the case of the Three Musketeers bar, it was good not only as a medium of exchange, but it was good to eat as well. So money should be generally marketable. Number two, it should be divisible. That was the problem with our egg problem that we had earlier. It's hard to divide up an egg unless you scramble it. Chopping up eggs doesn't work very well, so you need goods that are divisible. They need to have a high value per unit weight. That means it's portable. So in the past, cattle have been money, but cattle are pretty hard to carry around with you, so they don't make particularly good money. So high value per unit weight is important. Fairly stable value. Money should retain its value over time. Number five, it should be durable. Again, that's a problem with tea, possibly with the cigarettes I've mentioned. Some of the other things that have been money in the past is that they're not necessarily terribly durable. Number six, recognizable. Everybody should recognize the value of what money will be. Certainly in the case at the Tucker residence on Halloween, everyone recognized that Three Musketeers bars were a good that everybody recognized the value of. And they should be homogeneous. That's the other problem with the candy, is that there's various types of candy. And so a money should be the same. When we talked about the logs, not all logs are created equal. And so the perfect money, monies that will truly last throughout history, will be homogeneous. They'll be roughly the same. And as you might expect, over time, two commodities have been dominant to compete as money. And that is gold and silver. And gold used to be money. If you can see that, hopefully. That is an 1895 $20 gold piece. And that's what used to be. It's what used to be money here in the United States. And for good reason. You know, gold has always been highly prized for its luster and for its ornamental value. Don't pay attention to this white that's around it. It's in plastic. It's going to stay in plastic. It's also not going to get passed around. So don't ask me. Don't ask me to do that. Just stay right up here. Come to me individually, no problem.